people that are coming from the north and traveling south on Broad Street are still going to do that because they're still going to go in the gate. But the line, 80% of them go into the base anyway. So there's really a minimal amount of about 15% is what they're predicting is going to actually divert around onto the city streets. And when you look at the traffic counts, it's not where I want it to be for economic growth and development. So we are working with ODOT about how we design the intersections to accommodate the traffic. We are looking at more reasonable traffic numbers in order to make that decision. And the reality is that once the base has made that decision, whether we like it or not, we are forced to live with it. So that is the stance that the city has taken, is that we're not going to sit back and wait for it to happen. We're going to be proactive. So Al, I was really happy to hear you say, what are we going to do to capitalize on it? Because that is really going to be the key, is how do the businesses market themselves? How do they come together and capitalize on the traffic that is coming? But realize that traffic that's going in 8, 15, and 12 isn't coming into Fairborn anyway. So it still won't. So the traffic numbers, I think, are the things that are misleading. There's some perception out there that it's just going to be crazy like Colonel Glenn. That's the other comparison. It's not even close to what Colonel Glenn traffic is, even with the reroute. Yes, Google.
The reason they built the overpass on Fairborn was because of the tie-up of the trains on Central. Because there was a lot of times when we couldn't get from one side of Fairborn to the other because of the trains, and that's why that overpass was built.
When was that built? Do you remember? I'm
I was
sorry.
here, but I don't remember.
Because I wonder if it was when the base was at its highest population. Because if it was, it would have been significant amounts of traffic, but that base population has dribbled down to pretty much nothing compared to what it used to be.
It was mainly for medical, too, emergency.
I want to get in here a minute. I was asked Debbie questions and answer, and if anybody wants to talk, ask Serenis, Debbie, but I suggest they do at the meeting. So I think what we ought to do is just ask the citizen, answer their question. If you want to talk to Debbie about the other aspects, talk to her after meeting. So I'd like the next 15 minutes to go around. Actually, maybe about 5 after, got a little bit late. Just ask the question, sit down. If you want to talk any extraneous, talk to Debbie after meeting.
Yes, sir. I have a question. Mr. Donald, about 2 weeks ago, myself and my wife stopped in to see you. One of the things that we asked you about was about you getting a call from either Congressman Osborne and or his staff to keep an eye on myself. And you said that that was something that was normal, that either him or his staff told you to work with you on citizens of Fairborn on a regular basis. I called another congressman's office that butts up to this district. They said it's illegal and unethical. Since I have many things, I asked you I've asked you many times for just a debate in public. So I might just put those things down. I'll ask you, are you open to a debate, or are you afraid that we'll open up too much corruption and fraud?
Okay, I'm going to ask that Ms. McDonnell doesn't address that issue at this time. It sounds like a personal issue between you and her, and this is a city forum for everyone, and I wouldn't want your personal information to get into the wrong hands. So I'm sorry if I'm stepping on your toes. I don't mean to, but that's not really why we're here this evening. We're here to discuss city issues.
There's many city issues. I'm a business owner who supplied well over 30 jobs. This is a city manager who told me she'd run me out of this town. My business is now closed. I have many of these binders full of nothing but evidence but I've been silenced.
We have, Ms. McDonald has agreed to be here till, for 10 more minutes. We have a 2-hour time limit. We don't really have the time to discuss several volumes of that
Right, I
size.
just asked for a debate, if she was willing to do that, or that was all I asked.
I'd be happy for you to come in the office and talk to me like you have in the past.
Well, and
But I'm
my
not gonna do
question-
an open forum like this in
A
a
lot of
debate.
people say that I have the evidence, but I don't bring it forward. There's nowhere to bring it forward except for your office. I want to bring it to the public. So I'll respect the man there, sit back down. But I do have enough evidence, and I can bring plenty of corruption, plenty of fraud, and many to a lot of the public.
I apologize, we don't have the time for all your
I
concerns.
understand. I'm done. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes, sir.
May I take the floor to kind of change gears here? A nuts and bolts question. I know it's very expensive to run a city this size, and I think we're all just wanting to make sure that everything's being done in this economic climate to make sure that all the dollars you do collect are being spent wisely. But I've had this question for about a year, and it never occurred to me to actually like just go up to you and ask you. So, but I figure it might be of interest to everybody here. But while attending a city council meeting last year, an item was placed before the board for approval that caught my eye, and I have a question about it. The item was for the expense of hiring an outside accounting consultant to match the city of Fairborn's cash basis accounting procedures to the state of Ohio's accrual basis accounting, which is their required system. If the state requires the accrual basis accounting and we have to pay someone to square the way we do our books with it, would it not make more sense just to do the accounting the way the state requires it? From my experience, the only advantage to cash basis accounting is the fact that you can kind of play with the numbers at the beginning and the end of the accounting periods with the incomes and the outlays to reach whatever number looks best. Obviously, the state will not take these numbers, so why do we? And why not just do it the accrual basis, which is, according to the state, the right way first, and save the unnecessary expense? I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact figure, but it was in the tens of thousands of dollars, so. Thank you.
Randy's down there smiling. Do you want to come up and answer this, please? Because I think you do much better justice to it than I do. Thank you for the question. That's a great question.
The state requires GAAP-based financial reports, annual financial reports. They permit the cash basis throughout the year, which is what we do. It would cost far more to prepare GAAP-based, accrual-based statements throughout the year than it would be to convert at the end of the year. So that's why 99% of the entities in the state of Ohio and the rest of the nation use a cash basis and then convert. We, as a city, made the decision 20-some years ago to go a little bit past what the state requires and prepare a full CAFR, which provides more combining statements, and to go to that expense because it's a more comprehensive report, providing more data, and especially the underwriters in the debt environment. When you have these types of reports, you tend to get a lower interest rate on the debt. So there was a commitment 20-some years ago to go to a full CAFR, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. And because we don't have the staff to do what work we do and convert, we hire a professional firm to do it, and I think it's $16,000 or $17,000.
Thank you.
Did that fully answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much. Yes.
The lady in the blue jacket. Yes, sir.
The question I have is, if this road has to be closed, and the Fairborn has to come up with funds, is it half the funds, or why, it's the government that wants this, and the Air Force that wants this to be done, why are we,
Or not? I can tell you that I spent a lot of hours talking to our federal regulators and our federal Congressman Austria and actually Senator Brown and our other representatives in Washington. We've talked with the Dayton Development Coalition about helping us with our argument at the federal level to see if there are federal pots of money that can help do all of the installation and changes. The next step then is because we will become a state highway, we have gone to the state saying, can you pay for this? So at this point, we're not committing any city dollars to the project, but we continue to lobby both our federal and state agencies to fund this because it is an action that they cost.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I have a question about the splash park that's coming that the council never asked, which is what, on a given hot day, if it runs all day, and that thing runs at full power and uses 210,000 gallons of water, as Mr. Bales indicated, what is the cost of that to the Fairborn taxpayers?
$83.69
Per day?
per day.
And why is that different than, so vastly different than what we're charged?
Well, because the city can provide water for itself at the cost to manufacture the water. The rates that we charge to our citizens factor in a lot of things that go into it. Our debt service, other costs that go into the actual manufacturing of that water, other than just a couple of items. We're required by the EPA to provide a cost to manufacture that water. And that's what, we did that calculation because we anticipated your question, and it's a good one. But the value of $80 per day, if it ran from the moment it turns on to the moment it shuts off, I think is well worth it for what we're going to provide the citizens in a service. It was painful for us to lose our pool, but the pool was run by Greene County, not by the city of Fairborn. It was our land, but not our pool. The county had offered to give it to the city, but the cost to bring it up to code was prohibitive with our budget. Pardon?
What was that cost?
Well, it was several $100,000 to bring it up to code. The county had shared their financials, and they were losing somewhere between $50,000 and $75,000 a year. And with all of their budget constraints, they said, we can no longer afford to put the money into these pools. So they closed ours and Xenia, so it wasn't like they just closed ours. And then what do we do with this pool? And we knew that our young folks really liked having some water adventure. But look at the, what is that, marine splash park? I mean, so your private pools aren't making it. We had several private pools in the area, and they've all gone under. There's just not money in the budget to be able to provide a pool for our community, unfortunately. So we had to let it go. The splash park was our way of saying, we'll give you something. It was put in a way that was the least costly for the citizens because we don't have a recirculating pool, which means I don't have to chlorinate it. We have timers so that if there's no activity there, it automatically shuts off. There's a lot of things that are put in place, so it only runs to serve people while they're there. It's certainly not going to run on a rainy day. It's not going to run, in those instances. So the value of $80 to what we're giving to our citizens would be far less than operating a pool, and we just couldn't do it.
I don't have a whole lot to do with or understanding of all you're talking about, but I will say my brothers and sisters and I used to walk from Ironwood to Central Park in that little wading pool at the YMCA, and those kind of memories are what make you part of a citizen. When you're a kid and you grow up and you trek your way to something that is so fun. And every time I go to Y, and I'm a regular there, at least for a while, for a long time I have been, these kind of things kids need something to hold on to. I don't know, that's some of the best memories I'm just telling you. If I ever, that's it, pass.
Yeah, I agree. We had a pool where I grew up, and I rode my bike there every day. That was great. But this is a park that's in the central, the downtown area, and it services a whole lot of families that are all around it. And it provides, just that recreational relief, and because the bathroom facility is going in, which is paid for by grant funds, and this is paid for by grant funds, so it's not city taxpayer dollars, it's grant funds from other agencies that have paid for this. Again, $80 a day doesn't seem like a bad deal. Yes, Amanda?
Just speaking as someone who doesn't live in Fairborn, and just with a lot of people that don't live in Fairborn, I live in Enid, and most people I work with live in Senior Island, Beaver Creek, and we would go to the spray ground. We will come to Fairborn to go to the spray ground, because we don't want to drive all the way to Green to go to their little splash pad. So, I think it's going to bring a lot of people in Fairborn, and once you're there with your kids, you're going to want to eat, you're going to maybe walk downtown. Just
Thanks.
outside.
Yeah.
Okay, our time is up this evening. Would you please join me in thanking Ms. McDonnell for coming?
I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight, especially the citizens and staff, and I thank you, Debbie. Now, on the suggestions overall, most of them are done, and yes, so citizens deserve credit for that, and the city does too. Some of them are in progress, and there's some that weren't feasible. That's okay, because they're still getting handled on their way. So overall, I think it's a good result, and I'll work with Debbie, and I'll see, and we'll figure out the last couple, and I think it's going to be a good result at the end. I just have one question a friend asked me, and it has to do with the school. Probably, I don't know if we reply that, she's wondering if there's anything about security at the school with that recent shooting, about a cop at the school or not. Maybe that's for the school.
I can't answer that, I can't speak to that.
Yeah, I can't figure that. That's okay. That's what I figured, but I asked anyway. So I thank everyone for being here tonight. Also, we want to have some fun. Come here in about a month and a half. Don't get dressed like this. Dress clothes and be for Christmas in action. So thank you.
Thanks,